going to bring Todd in to give us a look at the numbers. Todd, what is going on?
Awesome. Well, thank you, Michael. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Today, we're going to be going over the market stats for the week ending August 3rd, and then a little later on in the segment, we'll talk about the month end for July. So let's get going. We have Metro Phoenix market analysis, 55 days closed on market, a 0.7, that's not an error, 0.79 months supply, well less than a month, 127% absorption rate. Our average list prices just over 630. And a nice thing, our average sale price came down a little bit, 392. That's a good sign. 98.31 is our list price to sale price retention over the last week. Inventories continuing to decline, down another 3.5% there. 8,200 properties. Pending is again took a little bit of a drop, but wait till you see how it affects month over month. Taking a look at closed units for the month of July, that is not inaccurate either. Look at that, over 10,000 closings last month. So we want to talk about why our inventory is depleting. 1,919 listings taken last week. Certainly not enough, down just a little bit. Days on market is coming down continuously. Used to be in that 155 range. The days on market for closed inventory is at 55.
That's about the Dow too, right?
That's about the Dow too. Taking a look at our price ranges in the lower right-hand corner, we're sitting under 500,000 is, continuing to creep down. That normally was around 72%, now sitting at 65. As far as our inventory from $500,000 up to $1 million, again, sitting at 22 strong. But again, the days on market there are actually pretty brisk, rather brisk for that market segment. Maybe it's because we're making up for that. People come from California, who knows what. $1 million and up homes, again, averaging about 12% entire inventory. That's up a little bit, mostly because the under $500,000 market has been basically just depleted with all the buyers that are in the marketplace. So taking a look at the week over week analysis, and remember in the gray area in the center, we have last year's same week, and we started adding this in a couple of months ago. Mike and I want basically to be able to let everybody know exactly how does it relate to last year, because week over week's fine, trends up and down, things of that nature we can get, but how is COVID really affecting us and what's happening? So taking a look up on the new listings taken, again, we were a little short. Last year we were taking about 1,900 listings, so it's pretty close to comparison to what it was last year, just a few less than it was last week. The big thing here is that we need 2,400 new listings a week. That's what we need to keep our inventory vibrant and to offset the demand. Taking a look at active inventory, last year we were sitting just over 14,000. That's not a typo. I mean, we are down into that 8,200 available units. Now, remember, when I do the statistics, I take out pending under contract backup offers, contingency sales, because we just don't want to get our client all excited about a house they can't have and then be comparing that house they can't have to everything that's remaining on the market. So, it's not always a good sales practice to be showing people pending and under contract homes. Kind of just let that process go through. But we take a look at single family detached, 6,800 homes available in the entire MLS. So that isn't a typo either. 1,200 homes are new builds, continuing to decline just a little bit as far as that's concerned. The builders are just that they are cranking out some inventory property, but even that help is enough to for our client base, but it's just not enough to replace the loss of inventory in the market. Pending units, you can see this here. Last year we were sitting in the 5,059, almost 6,000 area. We're over 6,000. So there's more people pending right now than there was a year ago. And again, that was a big indicator. So taking a look at the month supply, like we said, 0.9 last week, 0.79 this week. Last year, we were a 1.5 month supply. We were sitting at about, we need that inventory. We've got to convince sellers now's the time to list. Obviously it is. Housing is affordable. Interest rates are down. Matt's going to talk more about that a little bit. Interest rates are just low. Prices aren't going up. I mean, look at this, $592 for average sale price last week, can't see it from here, but 596. But you can look across. We've had this as high as, almost, 400,000. So again, when the prices come back down, when you see this price come back down, it's telling you that we're not getting that pressure, kind of like Mike and I joked about last week or the week before when we were like, yeah, I don't know what you get for $1 million anymore. Well, that's just depreciation over time. My parents paid $16,000 for their first house in 1945. But again, that same house sells for over $1 million today. So you just have to sit back and understand those different things in the market. But when we see the sale prices go up and down, ebb and flow, and they're not taking off like they did in 2006, 7, 8, that's a good sign because it says we're not going into one of those bubbles.
Yeah. In 1945, we remember that. That's when Marge Lindsay started actually collecting Social Security, right? Marge is here in that.
Ooh, evil eyes across the board. So average days
have a microphone.
Average days on market sitting at about 55. That likes to be 70. Average sale price, list price retention. That came down just a little bit. We got a green tag there, but the reality here is that reality is that we need to be in that 97.8 range, but it's not bad. It means the sellers are still negotiating. The average difference between the list price and the contract price at the time the contract was accepted is still about 1.2, 1.5 less than what the price was. So let's take a look at what happened in July. This I think is very informative, and again you can see it versus last year in July. So again we took about 8,800 homes this past month in July, and again a year ago very, very similar, to be quite honest with you. Look at inventory. Inventory was reported by MLS at 12,000 roughly, and that does include under contracts, pendings, and things of this nature. So again, to my point, last year again we were sitting at about 16,000. So we're just losing. We're not replacing the inventory, of course, that we're selling, and that's the biggest issue with demand and supply right now. Taking a look at the people in the market, and this gives you a good idea. Look at that, 6,260 people that were in pending at any one time. And again, in comparison to last year, yeah, it's down 27%, but there's still a lot of people in the marketplace, a lot more than there would have been otherwise, I guess I could say. Taking a look at closed inventory, this is the story for the month. I mean, we closed 10,546 units last month. That was up 27%. We only closed 9,340 homes last year. So again, this was a huge increase. And again, to show everybody that's out there, if you're not replacing the inventory, but there are people that are actually closing. So when you look at these numbers, here's kind of how you look at it. You look at available inventory plus builder inventory, then because that's what's available. Then you look at pending, because that's actually what's going into escrow right now. What's happening right now, Pulse as of today or yesterday or the day whenever we actually take that stat. So weekly on Mondays. So we look at that and we see that there's people in escrow, strong numbers in escrow. So that's a very, very positive sign as well. People are out. They're not, not buying. They are buying. And then when you see closed inventory, closed is a reflection of what took place 30 to 45 days ago. So, what went into escrow 35, 45 days ago is now closing the end of the month. And so that's the way to look at these three things. So Pulse, the inventory, and again, what's closed. Taking a look at the statistical information for the end of the month, we closed out at 1.17 month supply versus 1.79 last year. Again, those were good numbers. 85 eating up 85% of the inventory. We like to see that more around 50%. But again, we can take a look at the average list price, average sale prices. A year ago they were 341. They were 393. That's about 15% increase. That's pretty strong right now. However, the fact is if this is again point in time, July was a super strong month. We just talked about that. If you look at last month, it was less of a dramatic month with only 9,700 closings. But again, you can see the difference in the sale price. So it kind of gives you some clues as to where that market and what segment of the market is actually selling and closing. Taking a look at the average days on market again, this is pretty consistent. 55 days, 54, 55. Nothing really to report there. But again, closing out the month at 98.3%. That was not bad. That just means that the sellers are still, negotiating. And again, remember, that doesn't take into account anything to do with, with seller concessions. So a couple of different ways you can find us. Take a look, go out there. We did a COVID report this past week also, which really took a look at specifics year over year. So please go and take a look at that. But you can find us on Alexa Flash Briefings, Instagram Television, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and I still like looking at the slides. So go to youtube.com/West USA Realty.
All right. Appreciate it as always,
Thanks, Mike.
Todd. Very